So our intuition can be a very powerful tool, and in my opinion, it's one of the most important things to cultivate. But oftentimes what happens is that our intuition is just flat out wrong, or it's just clouded and distorted and full of all this emotional tension and trauma and conditioning from our past that basically just clouds the ability of it to yield a clear and concise and accurate, reading or result or advice for us. Now, you read a lot of books, you hear people talk and say, oh, go inside, listen to yourself, listen to your inner spirit, whatever, but what they leave out is that sometimes when you do that, what's coming out and what you're being told by that inner spark or whatever is not a good thing, it's not positive, it's not pleasant. So then what do you do? So I know for me, this has been a process of hearing that, oh, cool, well, I'm going to listen to my intuition, I'm going to listen to my gut instincts, my gut feelings. But then what happens when they're wrong and they lead you in the wrong direction and they end up just creating more trouble? Then you think, well, this is just ridiculous. Why would anyone do this? So the easiest way to illustrate this, the easiest way to understand it is that like our gut instinct, like our abdominal brain, like our inner voice, whatever you want to call it, let's say we have a mirror, and these two things are very similar. This mirror's job is to reflect. By its very nature, it reflects. Whatever you put in front of it, it reflects clearly and accurately. But sometimes what happens is the mirror gets dirty. Maybe there's film on it and dirt and dust and fingerprints and oil and food and who knows what. Maybe 30 years of that has built up on top of this mirror. So what we need to do is basically just remove the dirt from it, remove the dust from it, remove the falsehoods, the illusions, the untruths, and all of the junk that's distorting what the mirror reflects. Because there's a saying that I like to put out, and that is, if the mirror is dirty, so too will its reflections be. So, if there's junk all over your mirror, whatever you look into that mirror is going to be distorted and the reflection is not going to be accurate. So all we need to do is remove all of the stuff that's not the mirror and that's impeding the mirror from doing what it needs to do. Just remove it. Sometimes maybe a very aggressive cleaner, a very aggressive strategy to get that stuff out. But once we get it out, the mirror is clean and it's going to do what it needs to do. It's going to reflect accurately no matter what. It's the same process for our gut instinct, for our intuition, for our abdominal brain, whatever you want to call it. We just need to remove all of the stuff that's making it dirty and remove the junk that's distorting the picture that it's reflecting, because that's what it does. It reflects. By its very nature, it does what it does. But there are things that can get in there and get on top of it that can impede its natural functioning. Likewise, water's natural function is to flow. Put a dam in there and it dams up and it impedes the process. But if you remove the dam, the water flows just because that's what its nature is to do. So the things that could be damming us up and clogging us up and distorting our reflection or distorting our perception of our intuition or our gut instinct, past traumas, past emotional things that have come up, maybe abuse, maybe anger, depression, fear, whatever it is. So how we clean that stuff off is basically just we have to sort through it. We have to, organize it into neat piles, process it, integrate it, and recycle it. We can't just keep pushing it away and pushing it down and pretending like it's not there, because by resisting it, it's just going to keep persisting, and it's like holding a beach ball underwater. The more you push down and the more you hold it down, the more it just fights up against you and more your energy is just being wasted. But if you let it go, of course it's going to pop up, it's going to be in your face for a little bit, but ultimately by the nature of the fact that it's in water, it's going to eventually float away and you're going to forget about it and you're going to move on to something else. It's the same process for what we're talking about in this conversation. Now, of course, it's not always comfortable, it's not always pleasant, it's not always fun, it's not always socially acceptable, it's not always, proper, all of these things, but it's our emotions. They don't make sense, they're not logical because they are emotions. So we just have to acknowledge them, process them, integrate them, let them be whatever they are, however embarrassing, however scary, however hilarious that they might be. We just have to look at them, acknowledge them, integrate them, process them, and move on and allow themselves to just basically dissolve and float away, because that's what they do, because that's how life works, because things are always changing and flowing. And just like the beach ball analogy and illustration that I just gave you, it's the same process that's happening there as it will happen in your own body, in your own psyche. It just takes time and faith and a little discipline, a little time and effort to put in to do the work to get the results. And then you'll find that when you eliminate all the falsehoods and all the things that are impeding this natural process from doing what it needs to do, the easier that it will be to see clearly, to see accurately, to have just intuitive insights, to have deep understanding in situations, to be able to truly ask yourself a question and get an accurate feeling and accurate guidance in which the right direction is to go. So again, if the mirror is dirty, so is the reflection going to be distorted. It's going to be dirty. So if you have any questions or comments, post them below, and I'll talk to you soon.